What's up? This is your boy KC. Raw is 3 fucking hours. You expect us to sit through half of a roster for 3 hours? You know what grinds my gears, man? What the hell? Pokemon. This Pokemon Go app that everybody is into is making people lose their minds, making people stupid. As I said before, I am a big guy, and it's not funny having your ass sucked into a chair like a vacuum. It's that time of the week again. Time for another top 10. Anime otakus, it's that time again. Video game portion of my show. Jarek. This guy is a straight up Kano clone. He has all of Kano's moves. Dragon Ball debunked. People who pretend to be nice. That in front of people, they're smiling it up. Hello, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. The wrestling match of the week. The game of the week, is it worth it? The anime of the week, is time to talk about some more Dragonball Super. Like, comment, and subscribe. What's up? It's your boy KC. How y'all doing? Welcome to episode 30 of my podcast show. Let's get this started. It looks like it's official. Paige is engaged to Alberto Del Rio. In a match that he had, she got down on one knee and she proposed to him. Ass backwards, but that's how it happened. And he accepted. Now, I don't know what the hell is going to go on with this whole thing. I don't know when this wedding is supposed to be. But Del Rio is in the middle of a divorce to his current wife right now. So I know that can't be good. I said it in the last show and I'm going to say it again. Paige is very young. I don't know why she's rushing so quickly to get married and all that stuff like that. She needs to take her time and think about her career, because her career has hit the skids. She's still suspended. She still hasn't been back in wrestling yet. And she's worried about love. This is one of those classic stories of a girl putting a man before everything in her life. And there's nothing wrong with being in love and wanting love, because everybody wants that. But make sure your life is completely structured and it's together before you bring other people into it. Because ever since she started dating this guy, her career in wrestling has been on the back burner. Just look at what's been going on. She's been suspended twice. The third time, she's probably going to get fired. I hope she doesn't get suspended again. Baby girl needs to get her head on straight, man. Mickie James is on her way back to face Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship. I can't tell you how excited I am for this whole thing, because Asuka's been going around destroying all the women in NXT, and she says she has no competition, that there's no woman in the world that can beat her. And I like the way they pulled this off. They're going outside the promotion to find women. So when she runs through Mickie James, as she should, Mickie should not be beating her. Seriously, Asuka is on fire. You don't want to kill that momentum. So Asuka has to win. Seriously. And rumor has it, it was supposed to be Trish Stratus, but she got pregnant with her second child, and that's what the deal is. But I hope they continue with this, because you know she's going to run into all kinds of women like Lita, Beth Phoenix, because she's been talking about returning to wrestling. And I think it would be cool to see her go to NXT and to have a feud with Asuka. I'd like to see Gail Kim come back. If they could reach out and get Gail Kim to come back just for one more match or maybe for another run, I think those series of matches could kick ass. Seriously, why don't they go to New Japan and bring Ayako Hamada over here? I think that her and Asuka could have some crazy matches. I think they could steal the show. And y'all might think I'm crazy because of all the stuff that she did. And I hope that she learned her lesson and she doesn't do no more stupid shit like that. But I think that WWE should bring in a monster female like Awesome Kong to have matches with Asuka. Someone who's a lot bigger than she is. Someone that can manhandle her and make her look good. Because if you remember, when she came in as Karma, she really didn't have much of a run because she got pregnant and she had to have her baby. So yeah. And here's another idea. I know that a lot of people aren't crazy about tournaments, but I think that it would work in Asuka's case if you bring in a bunch of women from other promotions that you can get your hands on and let them have a tournament, let them fight it out so that they could earn the right to face Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship. I think that will grab a lot of people's attention, considering it's on NXT. It's not on Raw or SmackDown, so it's not going to be filled with a lot of stupid shit. So there are some ideas for you guys. There are a lot of people that have asked me why I have never been a fan of Triple H, why I never liked the guy. So I think I'm going to take the chance to explain it. But before I do, I just want to get something straight. I never said that Triple H sucked as a wrestler. I never said that he was a bad wrestler. I always thought he was a good wrestler. But that's not the reason why I never liked him. Here's some of the reasons why. Because when Triple H came up, when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the Connecticut Blue Blood, I thought the guy was nothing special. I thought he was just there. There was nothing special about this guy. Then he went on to team with Shawn Michaels, and there was still nothing special about the guy because Shawn Michaels was the star. He had all the charisma, and Triple H was just a sidekick. So I didn't care about him then. And yes, he did take over the leadership of DX after Shawn Michaels got hurt. But everybody in that group outshined Triple H. You know what I'm saying? I enjoyed watching China a hell of a lot more than him. I enjoyed watching the Outlaws because they had a lot of fun matches. Road Dogg has a ton of charisma. And X-Pac, even though he was starting to get that X-Pac heat because he's been bouncing back and forth between promotions, he was entertaining to watch as well. So you think back to the Attitude Era and the stars that they had. They had Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was the top babyface and the top star in the company at that time. You had Undertaker, Vince McMahon, The Rock, Mick Foley. They were the biggest stars in the company. Yes, Vince McMahon was the #1 heel in the brand and probably in the world right now because it was just after the Montreal Screwjob. So yeah, when you take a guy like Triple H who was doing absolutely nothing and you just stick him in the main event picture, I have a hard time believing that. Because me personally, I never saw Triple H on the same level as The Rock or Steve Austin. He was always 3 notches or 4 notches below. He wasn't even on the same level as The Undertaker or Mick Foley, in my personal opinion. He's not even in the conversation of big stars in that time. And I'm not telling people not to be a fan of his because you know he has his fan base. But you cannot deny that Triple H could not draw by himself. He needed other people to do it, and you know he did, because every time that they took a chance and they gave him a title when he was on his own, he couldn't cut it. He couldn't cut it like Shawn Michaels did. He couldn't cut it like Undertaker, like Steve Austin, like Rock. Hell, even like Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar when they were coming up. And Triple H to me was always a bland, boring wrestler. Seriously, his promos were mind-numbingly awful. There were times when I was watching it back then that I would pray that Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock or Foley or anybody would come out and shut this guy up because that's how bored I was. I mean, he had a brother almost wanting to cry back then because I'm like, please, shut up. Seriously. And a lot of people would say that Triple H became a main eventer in his feuds with Mick Foley back in 2000. And yes, they are right, because Mick Foley put him over good. But when I look at Triple H versus the other guys, there are a lot of elements missing to Triple H's character that everybody else had. And the #1 thing is charisma. Triple H just doesn't have it. Seriously, he's a charisma vacuum. I said it before. You look at Mick Foley, who could cut those intense promos back in the day, who had a character, who had personality. He could make you laugh. He could make you feel sorry for him. Shawn Michaels, who was a cocky prick. Undertaker, who knew he could beat everybody and he backed it up. Steve Austin was a redneck that just wanted to kick everybody's ass. The Rock was a smart, trash-talking heel. You know what I'm saying? What did Triple H have? Seriously, he's just there. He's just a guy that could wrestle. I mean, he's in that group with Jeff Jarrett as far as I'm concerned, because Jeff Jarrett is the same way. The only difference between the two of them is that Jeff Jarrett has always been a mid-carder that was pushed as the main eventer. And I don't care. The Jeff Jarrett fans can come out of the woodworks and say, oh, well, he's a multiple-time world champion. I don't give a crap, because he was a champion in WCW when WCW was damn near dead. Do you think that if WCW was still going strong at that time that they would have even considered putting the championship on Jeff Jarrett? I think not, if they still had Hogan and all those guys in there. Seriously. As for TNA, the guy started the company. I mean, he's like Carlos Colon. Carlos Colon is a 26-time world champion in his own promotion. Of course he's going to be that. You look at Vern Gagne. Vern Gagne was a multiple-time world champion in his own company. Of course, if you own your own joint, you're going to make yourself the top star. So y'all lost that argument. I don't even want to hear that bullshit. Because it's not like he had a huge promoter like Vince McMahon that was going to be like, he's going to be the next guy. He's our champion. That never happened in Jeff Jarrett's career. So I don't want to hear it no more. He is a mid-carder at best. But back to Triple H. If a lot of you guys don't believe what I'm saying and you disagree with me, that's fine. But there's no better example that I could present to you than his reign of terror from 02 to 05. Triple H, he floundered around at the beginning of 02 until his buddy came back. Shawn Michaels came back and they had a great series of matches. That was great. Then what did Triple H do after that? They brought in Ric Flair, who is one of the best talkers in the company and the greatest world heavyweight champion of all time, as I said on the last show. Go back and listen to the last episode. So they linked him up with Flair to help get him over the next hump. And these are the two main reasons why I never was a fan of Triple H. Because Triple H almost single-handedly killed my interest in professional wrestling. I'm dead serious. That whole reign of terror made me want to stop watching wrestling, and I did. I stopped watching wrestling for months after that thing was over. Seriously, because Triple H was put over guys he had no business beating. Seriously, he killed a lot of guys' momentum or just downright buried guys. Look at RVD. He was the best thing to come out of that invasion angle. He was on fire. There was no denying the buzz around that guy. When that whole thing was over, Triple H beat him, one and done. That was it. RVD floundered for years before he would get another chance to be a top star when he beat John Cena for the WWE Championship. We'll talk about that some other time. Look at Kane. It took Kane a long time to recover after that Katie Vick angle. That jump was so fucking stupid. And I know that was Vince McMahon's idea because he's an idiot. But that didn't help Kane at all. At all. Triple H ended up winning the Intercontinental Championship and he moved on to the next guy, Bill Goldberg, who was on fire. Goldberg came over from WCW. He was gone for 2 years. So when he came back, he came in like a house of fire. He destroyed The Rock. He went on to try to get the championship and he should have won it in an elimination chamber, but he did not. Why? Because they had Triple H beat him. They had him hit him with a sledgehammer and Goldberg was eliminated. That was Goldberg's match. That was his time to win the championship. They waited until the following month to give him the belt and I was happy about that, but it was too late. And the way that it ended, of course, Triple H got the belt back, on to the next guy. We had to sit through that ridiculous feud between him and Scott Steiner and all the posing and bullshit. That's not his fault. I can tell just by looking at all that was a Vince McMahon idea because he has a fetish with bodybuilders. Seriously. So I'm skipping past that. I will not talk about that because that is not Triple H's fault. The bad matches that they were having, it was Scott Steiner's fault. On to Booker T. We all know the story what happened with Booker, and Booker never recovered all the way up until the point to where he became King Booker. He just floundered after that whole thing. You take a big star. He just came over from WCW, went through the invasion angle. He was the WCW champion and United States champion when he came over. So he was already a made star. And they went through the series with Goldust, which I find to this day one of the most hilarious teams I've ever seen. I binge watch a lot of their promos and I hope that you guys do too. I love a lot of them. I'll talk about that another day. But when that team was over, Booker was primed. He beat The Rock. He won the Battle Royal on Raw by eliminating The Rock so that he could get a chance at the World Heavyweight Championship. So he was already a star. He was main event caliber at that point. And then he ran into Triple H. Triple H buried him on the mic. We all know that ridiculous finish at WrestleMania 19 in the main event where he just hit Booker T with one damn pedigree. They lay there for 35 seconds. Book turns over for some reason. Triple H lays a hand on his chest and beats him 1, 2, 3, killing Booker T's momentum and pushing back his career. What about Randy Orton? Now, half of that is Vince McMahon being petty. The reason why Randy Orton was the youngest World Heavyweight Champion is so that they wouldn't have to mention Brock Lesnar anymore, who just left. But I think that Orton got it the worst out of every single one of the guys that Triple H ran through, because yes, he won the championship. He ended up losing it 2 weeks later back to Triple H, and Triple H proceeded to beat this guy every single time they had a match. And it just made Orton look like such a freaking fool. And the only good thing that he did in his whole reign of terror was put over Batista, as he should have. Batista beat him 3 times at 3 different main events to establish himself as a main eventer and a World Heavyweight Champion. That was the only good thing that Triple H did, because the rest of it sucked. Seriously. Let's fast forward to CM Punk. In 2011, CM Punk was the hottest star on the roster. He was already a multiple-time world champion. He was a multiple-time Money in the Bank winner, and the fans loved the guy. So explain to me why they had to have Triple H come out of retirement and beat CM Punk. There was absolutely no reason for that to happen. Seriously, he came out, beat Punk, killed his momentum, and Punk floundered. You see a pattern here? I could go on and on. The matches with Brock, Triple H should have just gotten destroyed and that was it, to get Brock over, period. He didn't need to win. Roman Reigns, Triple H winning the championship at the Royal Rumble to help get Roman Reigns over, that was a stupid move. The Icon Sting, it's bad enough that he lost all his matches. His run in WWE was a complete total bust, but they brought him in for him to lose at his very first WrestleMania match, and who beat him? It was Triple H. There was absolutely no reason for you to bring Sting in for him to lose to Triple H of all people. How does that benefit anything? How does that help anything? Why couldn't Triple H have just lost that match? Seriously, you shouldn't have made Sting lose in the first place. On top of that, with all the stupid shit going with it, with DX coming out to help Triple H, that made sense because it's DX. He was in that group. Sting had absolutely nothing to do with the NWO. Yeah, he was in the NWO Wolfpack, but he spent years trying to destroy that group with Hollywood Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. He spent years trying to stop that group from taking over WCW. So what sense did that even make, having those three come out to help Sting, other than the fact that they were fighting for WCW? After watching that match, I just felt like it was just another nail in the coffin of WCW. It was just Vince McMahon taking another piss on WCW's grave to feed his own ego. I gotta calm down here. I'm not saying that Triple H should have lost to all these guys. He should have lost at some point in the rivalries, because that's what a good rivalry is. Somebody wins, somebody loses a couple of times. But you think back to what I said about Flair in the last show and how I felt he was the greatest World Heavyweight Champion because he made his opponents look good. That even though he beat those guys, they came out looking good on the other end. And that's something that Triple H just didn't do. That's the main reason why I didn't like the guy. I don't like him now. And besides Batista, who was the only guy that came out of a feud with Triple H looking good, he was the champion. Name me one other guy from the time that Triple H went solo by himself. They put the championship on him, put Flair in his corner, the whole evolution thing. You name me one other wrestler that he has had a rivalry with that actually came out looking good on the other side. Because nobody did. Nobody. CM Punk was already the hottest star on the roster. He didn't need Triple H to get over. He was already over. Name me one other person. You look at that stretch of Triple H's career, and then you look at guys like Ric Flair. You look at guys that are selfless, like The Rock. That are selfless, like Mick Foley. Like I said before, those guys put over people when they needed to and when they wanted to and when they had to. Triple H was only looking after number one, his own spot. The stories floating around about Triple H interfering with other people's careers, like Kurt Angle when they were getting ready to put the championship on him the first time. Triple H in there sticking his big ass nose in there saying that Kurt Angle was not big enough to be the champion. Kurt Angle said it himself. What does he have to do with what they're going to do with Kurt Angle? Seriously, Jeff Hardy? When they were getting ready to put the championship on Jeff Hardy, yes, part of that was his own fault with the drugs and failing all the drug tests and all that. That too. RVD, another guy that they were getting ready to put the championship on, but Triple H has something to do with that. Seriously, I can totally believe it. And those are the reasons why I never liked Triple H. You can take it any which way you want to. If you're a big fan of his and you disagree with me and you hate everything that I say, you can hate everything that I just said, but you cannot deny the truth. You cannot deny the fact that Triple H has put a halt to a lot of guys' careers and that he has been selfish in his career. You cannot deny that. Just like a lot of other wrestlers out there who looked after their own spots. He's not the only one. So there you go. TNA soldiers on yet again. They probably have an infinite life cheat that keeps them from dying because this company never seems to go away. No matter how much stupid shit they do, they continue to get through things, and it makes me sick because this company is the worst wrestling promotion in the world right now. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I've never seen an ass backwards company that is late on payments to their talent and to their ring crew, to the camera crew, that is so far stuck in debt because they borrowed money from people and haven't paid them. And I feel bad for Billy Corgan because this guy got screwed over badly by Dixie Carter and the rest of the higher-ups in this stupid-ass company. He used his own money to bail these guys out. They didn't even have enough money to run Bound for Glory, their biggest pay-per-view of the year. Billy Corgan bailed them out. And what happened? What did he get for that? He used his own money, he merged with the company, and he was promised that he was going to be the president if he helped the company out. And that's what he did. But what Dixie Carter did was she took his money, told him he was going to be president, but he didn't have any power. So it was pretty much like, oh, he's not really the president. And I think that shit is bull. And the guy had to sue the company to try to get his money back, and he lost the case. So now Dixie Carter is still in power, and Billy Corgan was pushed out. The guy still hasn't gotten his money back yet, and it's bullshit. After seeing this whole thing, I really see how dirty Dixie Carter is. This woman is poison. Her company is poison. And it would be best if somebody would just buy the company and shut it down because it's not doing any good. Such backwards ass business. A lot of guys have left that company because of the stupid shit that Dixie Carter is doing. A lot of those guys are in WWE and ROH, even some in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I don't blame them for doing that because I sure as hell would not work for free. And to be honest, those guys that are still there, that let this woman go months without paying them, you guys are a bunch of dumbasses, dude. Seriously, y'all are some of the most loyal people I've ever seen. And there's nothing wrong with loyalty, but I don't work for free, man. You think I'm going to go to my job now and work months without getting paid? The hell with that shit. I would just quit because I wouldn't get any money anyways. Go on and find something else. And then these guys, you have these guys that just defend this company to the ground, no matter how wrong they are. And how this company outlasted ECW and WCW and is still going now boggles the mind. I hope that Billy Corgan can bounce back because these people used him, they drained him of his money, and they did the man dirty. And I hope that he can bounce back and that if he does decide to go into wrestling again, don't have anything to do with Dixie Carter or anybody that worked for TNA. Just go on to something else or maybe build your own promotion. You'll have a better chance of success than to work with this dumbass woman ever again.
Macho Man Randy Savage, Sarasota, Florida. Come on in. You're going to be defending against the Dragon, Ricky Steamboat. What's the cup for?
WrestleMania 3, Pontiac, Michigan. Yeah, 90,000 plus people watching right there. And this is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's cup of coffee in the big time. Yeah, cup of coffee in the big time because he'll never get closer than now. I am the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. and I will remain the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, and George the Animal Steel on the outside will be no factor, yeah.
You say no factor. Obviously, he is a factor, or you wouldn't even brought it up.
Oh, wow, Mr. Sarcasm, yeah. I don't care if you got 23 wrestlers around the outside, and it doesn't even matter, no, because I am ready, and I will not let this opportunity slip through my fingers. Cup of coffee, man, yeah. Man. Wow, man, freaked out.
I love that promo, man. Seriously, that's my favorite wrestler, Macho Man Randy Savage. And not only is it one of my favorite promos, but it is a clue to what the match of the week is this week. And it is my all-time favorite match. We have a lot of favorites going on around here in the past couple of minutes. But it is my favorite match, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage, WrestleMania 3 for the Intercontinental Championship at Pontiac, Michigan. I know that the most talked about match from WrestleMania 3 is Hogan versus Andre, because that was a spectacle. That was for the people who paid good money. But I always felt that the match of the show was Steamboat and Savage, because you had two guys that were full of charisma, that had speed, ability, and power. And it displays there. You got Macho Man as the Intercontinental Champion going into the match with the beautiful Miss Elizabeth, God rest their souls, versus the challenger, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, a wrestler who is not talked about enough like he should be. He should be in the conversation of greatest wrestlers of all time, because the guy had it all. He had the look, he had the agility, the strength, and the speed. He was a perfect pro wrestler. Prior to this match, the Macho Man had injured the Dragon by taking a ring bell and crushing his throat from the top rope, and Steamboat wants revenge. Not to mention, you had George the Animal Steel on the outside in case things got crazy, and he was infatuated with Miss Elizabeth, as I'm sure all of us were at that time. I mean, come on, it was Miss Elizabeth, damn. The match starts off slow. It has a slow build, just like the cup of coffee Savage was talking about. Steamboat shows off his power by grabbing Savage by the throat and lifting him up in the air with no problem. I mean, this is a grown man that is not that much taller than Macho Man, and he's got him up in the air by the throat. They go back and forth with speed and power. Macho Man couldn't take the Dragon head on, so he had to wait for him to make a mistake, and the Dragon did a couple of times, and he capitalized. Macho Man's strategy was to work on the throat that was injured, driving the elbows to the throat. The match picks up with a series of 2 counts as they run into the ropes repeatedly, trying to outdo each other. Steamboat changes up his strategy and starts working on the arm of the Macho Man, draping his arm over the ropes, a series of arm drags, and even lifting the Macho Man up by his arm and dropping him face first for the arm lock. For some reason, one of my favorite parts of this match is somewhere in the middle of this match. You see George the Animal Steel getting a little too close to Miss Elizabeth, and in the middle, Macho Man just jumps out of the ring, takes her by the hand and leads her to the other side of the ring, and then gets back in the ring and continues the match. I don't know why I thought that was cool, but that was just a cool moment in the match. The match turns in Savage's favor as he delivers a knee right to the back of the neck of the Dragon, and he goes flying out the ring. And George the Animal Steel is concerned about him, tries to help him get up, but the referee Dave Hebner interferes. And while he's doing that, the Macho Man comes running at full force from around the ring and knees the Dragon right in the back of the neck again. He goes flying over the table, over the guardrail, into the crowd. That was one of the best spots in the match. I love it. Another funny spot was George the Animal Steel literally having to pick up and carry Steamboat back to the ring for him to get in the ring. And Savage just takes him and throws him out the other side of the ring. And he jumps on the top rope and does his classic double axe handle to the top of the head, knocking Steamboat down. He gets him back in the ring and he does another axe handle off the top rope right on the top of the head. Savage runs from the rope and comes with an Ibonic elbow right to the temple and knocks him down. The Dragon makes a comeback as he jumps off the top rope and chops Savage in the head and gets a very close pin. So close that people thought he won, but he didn't. He begins getting desperate and he goes for a series of pins like a jackknife pin as Savage would kick out at 2. A small package Savage would kick out. Savage manages to hit the Macho Man elbow off the top rope and goes for the pin, but the referee is out. So he goes over and he shakes the referee and he slaps him in the back of the head to make him get up. But he couldn't get it. So he goes outside the ring and he gets the bell. The same bell that he used to crush Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's throat before. But George the Animal Steel grabbed the bell from him but got knocked out with a kick to the back of the head. Savage grabs the bell again, gets on the top rope, and George the Animal Steel knocks him off the top rope, and Savage hits the bell on the way down. And this match doesn't end by finishing moves. It was a simple mistake that after Macho Man hit the canvas, after he fell off, he attempted to body slam Ricky the Steamboat, but Steamboat reversed it into a small package, getting the 1, 2, 3. And that's how this classic match ends. No one's better than the other, just a simple mistake. And Steamboat is your new Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, as they called it. This was back then when the IC title actually meant something. When you got that belt, you knew you were the man. You knew you were the workhorse wrestler of that company. And you had to work your ass off. You had to be at all the shows. Where there was Hogan, who was the champion, who had more leverage as the heavyweight champion. He didn't have to do as much commitments as the Intercontinental Champion did. And that belt used to mean so much more than it means now. I don't know how much more praise I could give this match. This is the greatest match of all time. I don't care what anybody says. In my personal opinion, this is the greatest match ever put together. If you are a fan of technical ability, this match has it. If you're a fan of the agility and high flying ability, this match has it. If you're a fan of the power, then this match has it. It has everything that it needs to be a perfect pro wrestling match. I get excited even talking about the match. Imagine how I get when I watch it. I feel like a little kid again, jumping out the chair when I see it. I cannot talk enough about this match. That's why this match is the match of the week. This is the match of the decade. This is the match of the century as far as I'm concerned. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, WrestleMania 3, Pontiac, Michigan. Greatest match of all time. Time for the video game portion of my show. Konami, once again you have stuck it to your fans, or whatever fans you have left after all the bullshit decisions you made over the past couple of years. They want to release a game called Metal Gear Survive, and it's supposed to be an apocalyptic zombie shooter with Metal Gear on the title, because it has nothing to do with Metal Gear Solid in any way. There are no characters from the Metal Gear series in this game. And I took a look at it. It looks like some cheap iOS app that they didn't even put time into. It looks like they just took the engine from Metal Gear 5 and just put a bunch of generic characters that nobody gives a fuck about in the game, and you expect people to buy it. This is bullshit. This is not a Metal Gear game, man. You're gonna have a Metal Gear game with no Snake, with none of the characters that made the game famous, and you expect people to just plop down money to buy that, when they could buy other alternatives. If they want to shoot zombies, unless you're an absolute fan of every single zombie game that comes out, by all means. For me, I'm not wasting money on their shit. And I'm not even going to get into the fact that they refuse to do anything with their gaming franchises. That they just want to do mobile gaming and pachinko machines that nobody gives a shit about. I'm sick of these video game companies treating us like crap. It's like they forget that notion that it's us that keep them going. If we don't put our money down for their merchandise, they're done. They're finished. But they got it in their mind that we're going to put out whatever we want and they're going to like it and that's it. That's not the way it goes. It never went that way. If we don't like your product, we're not going to buy it, which means you lose money. Common sense, man. Seriously. Konami need to get their head out of their asses, because they lost a shit ton of fans that they will probably never ever get back. Unless they cut everybody in that company and bring in people that actually know what the hell they're doing in video games, I will never buy another Konami game ever again, period. The game of the week is Dead or Alive 5 Plus. This is a game that I picked up for the PS Vita a couple of weeks ago and haven't been able to stop playing since. This game is on other consoles like the PS3 and Xbox 360 and so forth. This game, even on the PS Vita, is visually stunning. I've never seen graphics like that on a handheld, and probably will never see that ever again. This game is beautiful. The graphics are amazing. The sound is amazing. The fighting, you could just pick up the controls and play the game. You have a ton of modes that you could choose from to keep yourself entertained. You have the touch mode, which will put you in first person view when you're fighting your opponent. Some people might like that. You have versus mode, you have survivor mode, you have time attack mode, and you have story mode. A lot of different options to keep you going. One of the things that I enjoy about this game is the crossovers. You have characters from other franchises in this game. Like from the Ninja Gaiden universe, you have Ryu Hayabasa and Ayane, the purple-haired ninja. And you also have characters from Virtual Fighter as well, such as Akira, Sarah Bryant, and Pi. The only downside to this game is that just like every other fighting game, they have to have an annoying ass character. And in this video game, it's a guy named Zack, a bald-headed clown that just serves no purpose. He's just really annoying. His voice sucks and he just gets on my nerves. That's the only downside. As for the difficulty in this game, good God, this game is hard. Seriously, even on the easiest difficulty, they will mess you up. Like, you will very rarely ever get a chance to get in the attack. Once you get past the third or fourth fight, they will maul you. They will manhandle you or woman-handle you, whoever you're playing. And this game could be very, very difficult. You will get mad. You will get frustrated. And you might throw your Vita. I plead with you not to do that. But this game is awesome. If you haven't played it, pick it up. Give it a try. You're gonna like it. Trust me. Whatever happened to the F-Zero series? It was a futuristic racing game with hover cars. The first game came out November 21st, 1990 for the Super NES and was a blast to play. Probably the only racing game I actually enjoyed playing. I'm not really a racing game type of fan. Being one of the most popular games for the Super NES, it was able to make a big splash in the world of video gaming. And all the sequels were praised very high and the fans enjoyed that as well. Their popularity continued to soar with their own comic book series and spawned an anime that ran from October 7, 2003 to September 28, 2004 with 51 episodes. So what the hell happened? They just stopped. They just stopped making the games. And they did have an interview back in 2015 where they said the franchise is not dead. So there is hope to get a new one. This gaming franchise was something to behold because it was something new, something that wasn't done in other racing games until much later when we got into the later generation consoles. It had great music. That first game, I remember a lot of the tracks from that game, some of the greatest Super Nintendo music I've ever heard. And I'd like to see it come back, see if it can make the same splash that it made with the first game. The Nokia N-Gage had potential. What is this gaming system that I'm talking about? It was released October 7, 2003 and it ran until November 26, 2005. It was the very first hybrid of a cell phone and a video game console, pretty much a precursor to the smartphones that we have now. They managed to sell 3 million units in its lifespan and it had a lot of familiar games that we played on other consoles. It's not like it had a bunch of generic games. They did have Super Monkey Ball, Bomberman, Splinter Cell, Chaos Theory, Tomb Raider, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, X-Men Legends 1 and 2, Spider-Man 2, and many more games. It even had Bluetooth and PDA features. And the PDA features started back on the Gamecom. That was the first handheld to actually have it. That was the one thing that was cool about that crappy ass system. After the original N-Gage lifespan ended, Nokia made a follow-up version called the N-Gage QD, which was a lot smaller and had a lot of the features such as Bluetooth and PDA features removed to cut cost. So why did this system fail? There were a lot of reasons why it failed. Number one, the design of the device. People didn't like it. You did have a D-pad on the left side of the system, but the other buttons were just numeric keypads because it was half cell phone, which made it very difficult to play games. That's one. Two, the fact that you have to take the cover off the back, you have to remove the battery in order to change the games because it comes on a small chip that kind of looks like a Vita game, but a lot thinner. You have to remove the battery just to change the games. A lot of people didn't like doing that. And even though this gaming system did have games from famous franchises such as Tomb Raider, Splinter Cell, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Spider-Man, and so on, they were not good to look at on the screen. The graphics were ugly and the screen was too tiny to play the game, period. Not to mention the asking price for this system was $300, which is crazy as hell compared to the Game Boy Advance that was out at the same time. And because of those factors, this system sold poorly. And even though it failed, I like to think of it as the grandfather to smartphones these days, because there were a lot of features to come from this system that we have in new smartphones today. And that's why the N-Gage failed. Is it worth it? This game called Wet. It was a game that was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 September 15, 2009. And it's an action third-person shooter and a hack and slash game all rolled up in one. It features a chick named Ruby who has a sword and dual pistols. It has unique graphics such as cel shading mixed with comic book style art. You take control of Ruby, who is a bounty hunter hired to retrieve a briefcase from a gang that hijacked it. When I started playing this game, I immediately got the feeling that this game was trying to be too cool, kind of like Drake and the 99 Dragons, those types of games that try so hard to be cool that it fails in every way possible. Yes, it has bullet time where Ruby could slide on her knees and you could dodge bullets and enemy fire, and you also have dual pistols and a katana, and you can also carry a bow and arrow as well. But the story is bland and boring. The combat is really bad. The controls are awful in this game. They had a lot of great ideas for this game, but they were executed very badly, and it sold so poorly that the planned sequel they had planned that was supposed to be coming out the following year was canceled due to the poor sales. So is this game worth it? Hell no, it's not worth it. I wouldn't waste my money on it. Buy a sandwich instead.
Wow, unreal. My gosh. This is amazing! I feel incredible! Yes! I can win! I feel great! I can do this! Ugh. Yes! I'm home! I'm alive! This is all a miracle! I'm awake! I'm wide awake!
Anime otakus, it's that time again. Time to talk about some more Dragonball Super, and I have a lot of catching up to do. I have 4 different episodes that I need to review for you guys, so we can get caught up on everything. Episode 62 picks up with Trunks powering up, showing off his new form. Nobody knows what it's called yet, it wasn't given a name, but he is holding his own against Zamasu and Goku Black, even makes Goku Black bleed. They managed to overpower Trunks anyways, even though he has this new form. While he's fighting these two, he tells Vegeta and Goku to go back to their timeline and figure out a way to stop these two. They managed to get back to their timeline, and if you can remember, Goku was injured very badly, so he needed time to heal. Vegeta needed time to lick his wounds as well. And Bulma is pissed. She's yelling and berating Beerus, saying how he was wrong and Trunks was right, and that the future Zamasu and Goku Black are still alive in his timeline, and Beerus doesn't care. He's like, as long as this timeline Zamasu is dead, I did what I needed to do. So he goes on about his business. For some reason, we see Chibi Trunks knocking on the window of Goten and they fly off somewhere. I have no idea what this is supposed to mean. We will find out sooner or later in the later episodes. They also had a cameo from Gohan. Does this mean that they're going to make anything happen with this guy? My hopes are very low, because every time they bring back Gohan, they make him a complete wuss. So I have no faith in these guys at all. The Z Fighters find out some terrible news when they find out that Zamasu is immortal, just like Garlic Jr. was. He used the Super Dragon Balls to wish for immortality, meaning this guy cannot be killed. No matter how much you beat on this guy, he cannot be destroyed. So what are they going to do to stop this guy? And that's when the most cerebral and smartest fighter in the group steps up. Piccolo suggests to Goku that he uses the Mafuba attack, or the evil containment wave. If you can't kill the guy, trap him for eternity. If you can't remember that attack, it was used back in Dragon Ball to trap Piccolo Daimao, Piccolo's father, in the container. Master Roshi tried to use it, but he missed at the last second, and that's how he died the first time. And you know what gets me? That Goku has been around this man his whole entire life. He's been around Master Roshi. And all the techniques that Goku has learned while being alive and dead, he never thought to learn the Mafuba attack. They waited all the way until now, all these years later, for him to learn that technique that he could have learned as a kid. This is the same guy that learned the Kamehameha wave after seeing the attack one time. You mean to tell me that Goku was never interested in learning this technique? I think it's a little too late, but it is cool that they bring it back, and I thought it was great that Piccolo was the one that introduced the idea that trapped his father in the first place. I thought that was a pretty cool tie-in. So the episode ends with Goku learning the Mafuba attack. In the beginning of episode 63, we see Vegeta training his ass off in the hyperbolic time chamber or the room of spirit and time, and he gets so strong that he powers up and destroys this room. Vegeta blew up the damn room. That's how powerful this guy has gotten. In future Trunks' timeline, we cut to Mai, who gives Trunks a sensu bean. She manages to sneak away, and she has a special bullet that was created by future Bulma that's able to kill superpowered beings. Why the hell doesn't President Bulma know about this shit yet? Seriously. We could have used that a long time ago, Bulma. But anyways, Mai manages to sneak up and find Zamasu and Goku Black, and she shoots Goku Black right in the side of the head. And it hurts him, but it doesn't kill him because of course the guy's a superpowered being. So he gets angry and he decides he wants to kill this girl, but Trunks comes out of nowhere and saves her. And he powers up to his new form. He's able to control it now. And that's a quick time to be able to control a new form. And he takes on these guys once again. Trunks takes on Black and he's overpowering the guy while Mai is out there helping the dude. This chick is badass. I like what they've done with her. They made her an actual good character that's actually good for something. That's not running like a little biatch. You know what I'm saying? She's actually helping her man out. Trunks manages to get Zamasu in the cross-faced chicken wing. Just like Bob Backlund in wrestling. And you guys know I'm a huge wrestling fan. I mean shit, I talk about it all the time. That was cool as hell to see that. Trunks was going to try to blow himself up and take Zamasu with him, just as his father did in the Majin Buu saga. Out of nowhere, here comes Gowasu and Supreme Kai appearing out of nowhere. Apparently they have time rings and they're there for some kind of reason. Goku, Vegeta, and Bulma appear in their time machine, and as soon as they step out, Goku Black destroys the time machine. Man, this guy is a dick. Goku and Vegeta prepare for battle once again as they take on Black and Zamasu, and Vegeta has a badass moment as he blocks the psionic blade from Goku Black, and he calls him a fake Saiyan. That junk kicked ass. So as these guys are fighting, Bulma is fixing the time machine, and we go on to episode 64, and it starts with Vegeta kicking Goku Black's ass. I don't know how he got so strong, but this guy just keeps coming back stronger and stronger. So he's beating his ass, and in the middle of all this, Goku Black steps back and he stabs his wrist with the psionic blade and pulls out a bigger blade. Now I'm like, oh shit, what the hell is he gonna do now? Because every time he pulls out a new attack, he beats the hell out of these guys. Black manages to cut a hole in the sky and create a portal. This guy is just full of different types of abilities, isn't he? Meanwhile, Bulma is almost finished fixing the time machine, and she wants Trunks to use the Mafuba attack since it's his timeline that's being destroyed by this guy. And of course Trunks doesn't know a damn thing about this attack. He's never seen it, let alone use it. Out of nowhere, Bulma pulls out a capsule and it has this garage in it. And she has all this crazy shit that she thought she might need. So she pulls out a videotape of Piccolo doing a tutorial on how to do the Mafuba attack. This was some funny shit that I was watching. I'm like, you just happen to have this here, huh? And of course Trunks is like, I can't learn anything from that. How the hell am I supposed to learn it from this? Funny stuff. So we get back to the fight and we watch Goku Black clone himself, kind of like Majin Buu used to do, and he takes on Vegeta and Goku. And these guys are fighting clone after clone after clone, but Black just keeps pumping them out over and over and over again, and they're overpowered. In the middle of this, Zamasu goes to Mai and he tries to kill her, but Boduma uses her powers of seduction to try to seduce this guy, and of course it didn't work. He gets mad, he grabs her by the throat and throws her to the side, and Trunks gets pissed off. He powers up, and he manages to use the Mafuba without even learning how to use it. A little weak, because you don't see him training to learn how to use this attack. All of a sudden he just learns it out of nowhere. I didn't like that part. But he did use the Mafuba attack and succeeds in trapping Zamasu in the container. But there's one problem. The seal that was on the container was used to keep him in the container. And they did not have the seal. They left it in their timeline in the present. And because of that, Zamasu was freed. And that's when we see it. We see Zamasu and Goku Black use the Potara earrings to fuse. We see the most coolest thing up to this point, and I'm pretty sure the most frightening for the Z Fighters. These guys fuse into one being. If you remember, the Potara earrings were the same things that Goku and Vegeta used to fuse against Super Buu to make Vegito. And we also seen it with Supreme Kai and Kibito Kai. Shit's about to get crazy for reals. And that's where episode 64 ends, and we begin with episode 65 with the new fused Zamasu showing off his new technique, showing us what he can do. And he starts destroying the rest of the earth in future Trunks' timeline. Goku and Vegeta tell Trunks, Mai, and Boduma to get the hell out of there because things are about to get really crazy. We see a small cameo from Android 8. That's right, Ader from Dragon Ball, who is Kid Goku's friend. So he survived the onslaught from the cyborgs in future Trunks' timeline. They took out all the Z Fighters, but Yajirobe survived in Android 8. I'd like to see who else survived this whole thing. Anyways, Goku and Vegeta are taking on Zamasu, but Goku gets knocked out. He recovers and they begin powering up full power, and they try to take on Zamasu head first, but of course they get murked badly. That's when Trunks steps in the fight and holds his own, and they're implying that future Trunks might be slightly stronger than these guys because he by himself was able to put up a much better fight than Goku and Vegeta together, using his swords to block energy blast and a huge blast from Zamasu. And Zamasu gets pissed. He doesn't get hurt at all, but he's just mad that Trunks can block his attacks because he's supposed to be immortal. He's supposed to be the most powerful being and villain in the saga so far. So his ego is bruised. But after this, we get to see one of the coolest moments in all of Dragon Ball. We get to see the very first father-son Gallic Gun attack. Yes, you guys heard me right. Trunks lets off his own version of the Gallic Gun attack. His father steps in, and they let off a huge blast at Zamasu. And when I saw this, it kicked ass, and it reminded me of the first father-son Kamehameha with Team Gohan and Goku against Cell. It reminded me of the father-son Kamehameha that we saw in movie 10 with Goten, Gohan, and Goku firing a Kamehameha blast at Broly and destroying him. And also it reminded me of Yo-Son Goku and his friends return when Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, and Trunks let off a blast at Hachiak to try to destroy him, and they managed to do so. So it immediately brought back a lot of flashbacks and a lot of good moments in the series, and I loved it. If you are a Vegeta fan and if you are a Trunks fan or both, you guys will mark out for this. It just sucks that it didn't work. But in the middle of all this, we got to see a move from Son Goku that we have not seen since he fought against Perfect Cell. He used the instantaneous movement Kamehameha. He appeared right behind Zamasu and used the attack, and that's where the episode ends. So now that we're all caught up on Dragon Ball Super, I had a lot of fun catching up on this and watching all the episodes. It's nothing but action-packed. I love it. You guys need to check it out. The anime of the week is an anime called Trigun. It ran April 31st, 1998 until September 30th, 1998, and is a true classic. The story follows Vastus Stampede, who runs into these two girls, Meryl Streep and Millie Thompson, who follow him around to minimize the damage caused by his appearance. Because this guy is wanted in damn near every city that he runs into because he has a $6 billion double-dollar bounty on his head for the destruction of a city called July. Yes, July, like the month. And all the damage that is caused to these cities are because these bounty hunters are trying to hunt them down to collect the money. However, Vash cannot remember this incident because he has amnesia. So he comes off as a guy who loves love and peace. He does not like to fight, but he is an expert at guns and firearms. And he's a giant goofball. I love everything about this anime. If you're looking for comedy, you will find it in this anime. If you're looking for great fighting scenes and shooting scenes, gunslinging action, you will find it in this anime as well, packed with a great storyline and great voice actors. In fact, my favorite voice actor is in this movie, and it happens to be John Young Bosch, the guy who was the second Black Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He also voices a lot of anime characters from Ichigo Kurosaki. He voices Kaneda in the Akira movies. He's played in a lot of stuff. I can't even run down this guy's list of his accolades. But I enjoy this anime. You guys want to enjoy it too. If you get a chance to watch it, and you'll thank me for it later. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 30 of my podcast show, because I enjoyed making this for you. I wanted it to be something special. It's longer than my usual episodes because this is a big episode for me. This is a milestone for me, episode 30, because I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would make it to episode 30. But I did, and I'm going to keep going strong for you guys because I enjoy entertaining you guys, and it's a lot of fun for me as well. If you like what you heard, you can check out my channel, Casey the Most, for my other 29 episodes on my show. You can also check out my top 10s of my least favorite this, favorite that. You guys will get a kick out of those. You can check out my topic videos talking about real world problems, relationships, and everything that pisses me off. If you want to get a kick out of that kind of stuff. I also have a few Let's Plays, which I'm going to get some new ones up there once I get the right equipment. You can find me on Twitter at MostKC. If you want to comment and tell me what you think of my videos, you can also find me on Tumblr, KC the Most. I also post my videos there. I have a Facebook page by the same name, KC the Most. I'm also on SoundCloud as well, so there are many different ways that you can listen to this show and that you can find my videos. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll check you out later. Peace.